Skywars is one of the most popular Minecraft game modes. It can be played on many different servers like Hypixel and the Hive. If you don't know what Skywars is, which I would find very unlikely, I will explain it for you very briefly. Skywars is a game where multiple players spawn on an island where they can loot chests with equipment in it such as armor, weapons, tools, blocks, and potions. With the blocks they can build to the middle island where better loot can be found. The concept is very simple. On every server, there's a variety of maps to choose from in order to provide the player with more fun playing experience. Some of these maps are good, some of these maps are bad, some are too slow, some are too fast. Every map is unique. But what makes a Skywars map good, and what makes it bad? I'll be giving my perspective on this topic. Before the video starts, I want to give a quick disclaimer. This is all my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's totally fine. You can always leave your own opinion down in the comments below. So let's get straight into it, shall we? I think there are a few categories that say whether a map is good or not. Before we get further into it, I would like to list them very briefly. These include the distance to the middle island, the design of the middle, the design of the islands, and, also a nice bonus, how appealing a map is. I'll be using examples of maps from the Hypixel server to further explain what I find important for a map. The reason I chose for the server in particular is because the biggest proportion of my viewers play Skywars on the Hypixel network, and because I also mainly play Skywars on the Hypixel server. Enough said, let's just get into it. The distance to the middle island is in my opinion one of the most important ones. I just really dislike having to bridge for half an hour praying not to get egged off by your annoying neighbour. Two good examples for maps where the middle island is too far away from the beginning islands are the maps Garden Bed and Elven. You have to build two medium-sized bridges in order to get to the middle island, which gives the enemies way too much time to be able to knock you off the map straight into your doom. Which is one of the most frustrating things that can happen when playing Skywars. I prefer to have maps where you can either jump to mid, or only have to place one or two blocks to get to mid. Maps like Aegis, Aquarius, Marchen, Memorial, Villa, Plateau, Palette, and Waterways are perfect examples of this. It reduces the chance to get killed in a cheap way and overall makes the game a lot more enjoyable to play. A middle that is far away also encourages people to stay on their islands whilst they are trying to get those cheap kills. That can lead to everyone almost being forced to camp on their islands because they would otherwise get knocked off, whilst some other people that are already on mid can get all the armor they want and have an easy endgame on you. Another important thing that can differentiate a good map from a bad one is the design of the middle island. I find it very important that the middle island doesn't have many height differences, as it can encourage camping, which isn't something an aggressive game mode should encourage. A good example of this is Filing Shrine. It is so easy to just camp at the top of the tower with a knockback fishing rod and wait all game, which can reduce the fun of the game significantly. Plateau is an example of a map that does it in the right way. It has virtually no height difference whatsoever, and makes the gameplay really smooth and fast. The size of the middle island is very important to me. Maps like Mothership have an absolute gargantuan middle island, whilst maps like Shire have a very small middle island. I have always preferred a big and fast middle island, because it just gives more ground to PvP on, making fights a lot more fair and interesting. Another important thing I find is that the middle shouldn't have many random holes in it. In other words, it can't be cheated. A map with many random holes in the middle is Railroad. I find it very annoying to be wandering around the map and all of a sudden falling into a random hole. Maps like Waterways are overall very solid and have no random holes. Random holes just suck, that's all I can really say. I also think the design of the spawn islands is very important. I prefer to have all the chests on the surface of the island, although most maps do have a chest in the basement of their island, which I'm totally fine with. I prefer to have the islands close together, like the map Martian. It can definitely be fun to rush other players. It's just more valuable to rush middle though. But it's always fun to get a kill on an unsuspected victim. I also really prefer when all islands are as close to the middle as each other. Like the previously mentioned Railroad, it just makes the map a little bit more fair as all the players are in the same distance away from the spicy middle loot. Tribute doesn't succeed in this, which makes it one of the few downsides of the map. I think the design of the starter islands is less important than the middle island, and the distance between the two, so Let's just leave this part here. A little less important is the appeal of the map. Still, I wanted to mention it in this video, because I think some maps look a lot better than others do. Some good looking maps include the likes of Filing Shrine and Aquarius. Also, some maps I find less appealing are the likes of Siege, Garage and Railroad. I can't really put my finger on why I like and dislike these maps so much, but as previously mentioned, this is just the icing on the cake when it comes to making a good map. In conclusion, the ideal map for me would be a map where you can easily come to the middle island by either jumping or having to only place a few blocks, whilst the middle has few height differences and no random holes, with the starter islands equally close to mid. It's difficult to combine all these two together into one perfect map, but it has to be possible. Plateau is probably the best example of this, as it meets all the previously mentioned conditions. As mentioned before, this is all just my opinion, so if you have any other opinions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Oh yeah, and also, 98% of you who watch this video aren't subscribed yet, so if you like the content you're watching, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified for new uploads. Anyways, thanks for watching, stay safe, and goodbye.